I mean, you had the job, you bought the property, you drive a car, it's the Canadian dream, so to speak. And then
I had done everything right as an international student. And then, and that's when I just realized that in life, you can plan so much because I'm a planner, and you get to a point where things are out of your control.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just need to, and it was just the realization that if you look back, we have 40 years to work.
Yeah.
And in Canada, you have on average 2 weeks of vacation.
Yeah.
So if you do the math, you have like just maybe, it was nerve-wracking because it's like I had this job opportunity, this amazing dream job, and I would have lost it just because of something that was out of my control.
Yeah.
And just because I am an immigrant.
Now you've left everything that you've been conditioned to believe is the right path.
Yeah.
How does it feel?
If you find value after watching this video, please hit the like button and consider subscribing to this channel.
Welcome to Our Immigration Stories as told by Canadian immigrants, live from the Media Hub on riotradio.ca. I'm your host, Christina McPherson, and this show is all about diving into the real, the raw, and the inspiring journeys of immigrants who have made Canada their home. We're going to be sharing their journeys, their challenges, their triumphs, and their truths. Today is episode 5 of 6 of this limited Durham College series. I'm going to be sad after next week. But today we're going to tackle this thought-provoking idea that so many of us come here to Canada and we feel so pressured to keep pushing, right? To achieve the big thing, the big job, the status, the house, the car, all of that stuff, to make sure that all of what we did here was worth it, right? To prove that it was worth it to ourselves. But what happens if you do all of that and you still come out the end feeling a little bit unfulfilled? To dive into that conversation today, I am joined here with Tobi, who is a Canadian immigrant from Nigeria, who came to Canada, did the things, all that wonderful stuff, and then she left her 6-figure, which, and for anybody who needs context, 6 figures mean over 100,000 Canadian a year job, to pursue what she really wants to do. She's also a homeowner, and she's here to share a lot of the wisdom that she has gained on this journey, but also that she has executed throughout this journey. So I'm looking forward to diving into that story with you, Tobi. And at the end, we are going to hear from 4 people what they wish they knew before moving to Canada. Tobi, welcome.
Thank you for having me. Excited to be here today.
Absolutely. So Tobi, I'm going to share a couple facts about you just to set the tone for people. I did spill a little bit of it, so let me just reiterate. So as I mentioned, Tobi is from Nigeria, right?
Yes.
You studied aerospace engineering at a university here in Canada.
Yep.
Then when outside of school, you pivoted into tech, and then you went into project management and product management. You've purchased your first investment property at 26.
Yes.
And then you decided to leave the corporate world at 27 to figure out what you really want to do. Did I leave anything out?
No, I would say the property was 25.
Oh.
But that's the only clarification. But other
Got
than
it.
that's like everything.
Cool.
The TLDR about me.
All right, perfect. So that is our context here, right? To dive into our conversation. So Tobi, just right out the gates, I mean, you had the job, you bought the property, you drive a car, you did the thing. You're a PR citizen?
PR. Soon to be
right?
citizen.
So you've figured it all out, the Canadian dream, so to speak. And then it wasn't what maybe you expected. I'm not going to give you any words. You can tell me for yourself, what was that like? But tell me about that feeling and the build up to making this decision to leave.
Yeah, I would say, just for context, I've been in Canada for about 11 to 12 years now. I came as an international student.
Yeah.
So there's that fact that I came alone. My parents live back home, and I've had to like figure everything out myself, deciding what credit card to get, if I need to get credit cards, understanding the financial system, understanding career, and even how to like get a job here.
Yeah.
Understanding housing. There's so many factors that you need to like dive into as an international student. So that added a layer of pressure on my path. So when I see myself and other friends that are like Canadians, there's just this backstory that I have that they don't have, because they had like guidance, and I've had to like figure things out. So I think that also like led to burnout in some way, and just like the emotional stress and toil when it comes to study permits and then work permits and then waiting to get your PR. When I graduated school, it was 2020, so that was when immigration just became very messy. I had done everything right as an international student, and then it was something out of my control. That was when the CRS scores were very high. They were just prioritizing people who had PNP and external candidates.
I know those.
So ideally, I should have already been a citizen. But things went out of my control, and that's when I just realized that in life you can plan so much, because I'm a planner, and you get to a point where things are out of your control. And sometimes you just need to learn to embrace uncertainty. So that's what I've been dealing with now, just embracing that uncertainty and seeing there's something called like being a type A versus type B. I've been a type A all my life, and I'm like, you know what, let me try and be a type B and see what happens in life, and use this as a learning experience or learning opportunity for my future self. So now I have patterns, and I remember that I've been through this. I've left a job that seemed perfect. I can do anything in the future, or like nothing should scare me in the future, hopefully. But there are like so many layers that came into it, into that decision to leave my job. And it was just the realization that if you look back, we have 40 years to work. And in Canada, you have on average 2 weeks of vacation. So if you do the math, you have like just maybe 3 years in your life out of those 40 years to actually rest or like do things that prioritize yourself. So I'm like, maybe I just take a break, figure things out myself, and see where that leads to. And we'll probably dive into more as we go.
No, that's good. That's good. And you know what? I mean, of course, you're young. So then you have the benefit of time on your side and stuff like that. But even just the courage that it would have taken to make this decision, because it's not an easy decision. It's not. And especially like you said, this whole time you've been probably type A. And now you're deciding to like veer off the court. So Canada. Was that your dream? Was that your parents' dream? Was it a both? What was it?
I'd say it wasn't necessarily my dream. Maybe my parents, I wouldn't use the word dream. It just seemed like the next best step. So my brother came to Canada already. We're 2 children. And it just seemed like, oh, your brother is in Canada. You're definitely going to Canada.
Got it.
We have like a brother that lives in Canada, so that's where it is. I think myself, I was thinking of going to MIT at that point, but I wasn't so pressed on it. So I was like, whatever my parents want, I would do.
Yes. And you know what? Your story really resonated with me, because like you just said, whatever your parents want. And as immigrant kids, and even if our parents aren't immigrants, depending on where we're from, like Africa is probably similar to the Caribbean, where education is like, you have to go to school, and you have to get the highest level, and continue going to school, right? And there's just this pressure, like you said, to be the lawyer, the doctor, the engineer, the architect, and whatever. And I too remember coming out and starting working in project management, and I felt like, oh, is this it?
Yes.
Not that I wasn't, and I wanted people to understand that it's not ungrateful, right? Because we are allowed to want more, and like give ourselves permission to want more, right? So to want not necessarily more, but something that's going to feed our souls. Right? So tell me a little bit about your immigration journey. You touched on it a little bit. You gave me a little summary that, the stress of the permit and the COVID and the this and the that. So let us start from, it's time for you. Well, your brother already came, so you had a precedent, right? And you had somewhere to live when you came, which is...
It's quite different. He was in a different city. But I did grade 12, so I lived on campus.
You did grade 12 in Canada?
Year. It was like an international school. It was mainly international students. So we did grade 12. I did grade 12 there. It was kind of like a prep into the Canadian education system.
Got it.
I know sometimes people feel like it is a waste of money to like go through that, but it really helped me.
Was it?
Yeah, it really helped me.
Well, talk to me about that from there, leading up to the point of you getting PR, because you came 11 years ago, so we are here from the same time, right? But you went to school for a lot longer than me.
Yes.
I went to school for 1 year. So So tell me, so you said that grade 12 prep, for anybody who is interested or thinking about the grade 12 prep, is a good idea. So tell me why, and then move on from there into university and then PR.
Yeah, I'll say there are like pros and cons to it.
Yeah.
The major con is just like time.
Yeah.
If you care about time, it's like,
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
wasting 1 year and money.
Yeah.
So you also pay international students tuition there with it. It's almost equivalent to like what you pay for a year in university.
Yeah.
But I think on the like opposite side, the pros, it kind of gave me a soft landing. So just being with other international students in that college, the teachers and professors, like the principal, everyone in that college had knowledge on what it meant to be an international student.
Yeah,
so
that's
they
helpful.
helped with that transition phase. They helped us to like apply to universities. They helped us to understand the different universities, because when you're outside Canada, you might just like do your research and apply to a random university, not knowing like the intricate details about universities. Like this might, like for example, if you want to work in tech, people might like push you to Waterloo because they have a very great co-op program. So those like intricate details are things that we didn't know and we learned from it. We also did like university tours, so that was good. So it has its like pros and cons. So I did that. I had a 1-year study permit with that, and then when I got my this thing into Carleton, I got
Carleton
my
University.
Carleton University.
Got it.
Got my work permit. I did 5 years. It was a 5-year program, so I got 5 years permits. And then even prior to like finishing school, I had already like started prepping for my work permits. I had applied, started like trying to get jobs and everything. So I then got my work permits, a 3-year postgraduate work permit.
Yes.
I don't know if things have changed now, but that was in 2020.
Same. So you got a 5-year
years.
study permit,
Yes.
but then a
And
3-year
then-
work permit.
Yes,
Right.
3-year work permits.
Yeah.
And then during those 3 years, ideally, what would have happened is after I get my work permit, I work for 1 year, and then I can enter the express entry pool and get like my PR. That was the ideal route. That was
Of
what
course.
everyone that had done it before me like had gotten.
Yep.
And then in my case, it was 2020 immigration kind of paused. There was a lot of backlog.
Yeah.
And then the CRS scores were like very high. So I had to wait a while. I had a few friends that also graduated during my period. So that also helps, like having community.
Yeah.
And not feeling like you're the only one. And I'll just say it caused like a lot of emotional toll on me, because it's like I did so many things. I had a YouTube channel. I had been sharing immigration like content, so basically resources and tools to help people settle in Canada, guide them. And it's like I did all of this, and I'm like in this situation where I might have to even go back to my country if I run out of my work permits. And what happened is I got my dream job with that work permit. My work permit was about to expire, and even the offer letter, they said you have to have a work permit that is beyond 6 months. And my work
In the
permit at
offer
that
letter?
point, was like less than 6 months. So it was just a challenging period for me. As I mentioned, this was a gym job. It was also a job where it's like 0.5% of people that got in, and I got lucky enough to get in. So this was like a lot of pressure. I had to like communicate with them, try to explain the system to them. I think they're going to call my CRS number soon, all of that. Thankfully, they did call my CRS, and I was able to like get my PR, but it was nerve-wracking because it's like I had this job opportunity, this amazing dream job, and I would have lost it just because of something that was out of my control, and just because I am an immigrant. So that's where sometimes privileges come. It's like as an immigrant, sometimes you lose job opportunities, you lose certain opportunities just because you're not like a permanent resident or a Canadian citizen. There are a lot of jobs in university where we had gone through the full interview stage, and then they realized, you're like on a study permit. Unfortunately, we can't go ahead with you. So it's like, yeah, it sucks.
Yeah. What was the CRS score when you did get called?
Right. It's so crazy how I've passed that stage, and I'm like, damn, it was a crazy period.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it was 480 something.
Okay.
I just know that when I remember it and I check,
Yeah.
I feel like I wouldn't have gotten it if they didn't go that low at that point.
Yeah.
Because till now, they haven't gone that low.
I know.
I have a few friends who unfortunately have had to like leave the country just because of all that happened in 2020. COVID
I know.
period,
I know. Like, I mean, even my score was like 499 or somewhere there, right? And right now, tell me the last time it's been below 500, right?
Like
I would have gotten through. No. And then, so you spoke about like, so a couple of episodes ago, I've introduced this term that I've coined called post-immigration stress disorder, and just all of the emotional toll that is unique to the immigration journey that a lot of people don't understand. So like you just spoke about how when you were in the grade 12, you were in a context where people understood.
Yes.
Right? Which is helpful. Not just the institution, but also the students that were there. But then once you left that, did you feel that sense of community when you were going through Carleton University? Did you feel supported? Did you feel like the understanding that you had at grade 12 transferred over to here?
It didn't. So one other benefit of that grade 12 program is I had friends, and there were a group of us that went to Carleton together. So that community was still there. But when it came to like being an international student at the institution, I feel like that support wasn't there. Unfortunately, it's on you to go out and ask for help. So there were times where I went to the International Students Office Center myself, and you can count. I have a lot of friends that probably never even knew that there was an International Students Center.
It's important.
So
There's
it's
an
on
International
you.
Student Center at every school, okay?
It's on you. They have like an immigration person.
Yeah.
You can share your details. They can help you navigate things. So it's on you, unfortunately, to do that job as international students.
Yeah. And then now you did that, you got the job, all these wonderful things. We'll talk about how you got the job soon. But then when you decided to leave, right, because we're on this talk about like the emotional, like how did it feel going through the immigration journey, the stress, the anxiety. Now you've left everything that you've been conditioned to believe is the right path.
Yeah.
How does it feel?
On some days, it feels great.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. But other days, it's like
scary.
I hope I don't regret this. I still tell people, when I tell people I'm on an adult gap year, they're like, oh, I wish I could take it. But I'm like, let's say in a year's time, if I still like,
be careful what you wish
be careful first. Let's see how it plays out before we do this. But I'm someone that believes strongly in patterns. I feel like it has helped me build confidence towards things. This is not my first time leaving certainty for uncertainty. So with that, I tell myself I've been in a similar situation. It might look different, but I came out of it. Yeah. So now I'm doing the same thing again. I'm going to learn as I go. Yeah. Success, like I'm trying to not give a term to success being, oh, I become a business owner or something like that. Yeah. Failure doesn't mean that I go back to 9 to 5. It doesn't mean I failed. Yeah. It means that I'm learning through the process. Yeah. So I'm just seeing it as a learning opportunity, and it'll give me confidence in the future to make certain decisions. Yeah. People say like I'm so courageous to be able to do this, but I tell them that 50% of it is just because I've done something like this in the past. Yeah. So all those patterns help. Yeah. And I'm young. I'm like, this is the time for me to build patterns, build those opportunities, and it would help myself in the future when it comes to like making bigger, tougher decisions. Right now it feels like, oh, this is a tough decision, but I know in the future I'll be like, this is like child's play. Yeah, there's more to it.
Yeah, and I mean, so I know this is called As Told by Canadian Immigrants, but really what I'm calling the brand is As Told by Experience, right? Because your past experience is helping you to inform the present and helping you to make a decision with relative confidence. Yes. Right? Yeah. And I honestly, regardless of how your year goes, I don't believe you'll regret it. Oh, right? Yeah. I think that you'll spend more time regretting it if you didn't do it.
Yes. That was like my major. I was like, I don't want to live a life of regrets. Yeah. I don't want to think what if. So might as well do it. Yeah. If it doesn't pan out well, at least I know that I did it. And I can always go back into the job market. Exactly. It's a tough one. Exactly. Tough job market right now. But at least I know that I tried.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. And I don't think you'll regret it. Yeah. Sometimes I compare going through the immigration journey and then being in the work world while you're doing it to when you get PR finally, it's almost like you wake up from a coma. Yes. Your life was on autopilot, right? And you were emotionally numb. You were just doing what you needed to do.
Yeah.
And now that you can kind of breathe, you're like, wait, what do I do?
Yes.
Why?
I agree. It's so interesting because it's like, because you're trying to get to that point of getting a PR, there's certain decisions you have to make.
Yeah.
There's certain jobs you have to get, certain job titles. So it just limits your opportunities because you're focused on that
and
path.
your creativity.
Yeah, and your creativity.
Yeah.
I know someone that as soon as he got his PR, he like left his job. He's like, he needs a break.
Yeah.
Now that he's become a PR,
Yeah.
there's no reason for him to like push and be scared of like having to leave the country because now he's a permanent resident. So I think that's a lot of things, like one thing that a lot of immigrants can resonate with.
Yeah. And you did mention the word burnout. So that's exactly what I think is happening to a lot of people right now.
Yeah.
So let's pivot now to the job hunt and the networking, right? Because you got the dream job.
Yeah.
Yes.
Quote unquote.
So, right? So walk us through that. So how was it like after school transitioning into the job market? What was it like for you?
It was challenging, I would say, but one major thing is networking and taking advantage or like community building. As someone that didn't have guidance, my parents aren't in Canada, they don't understand the Canadian job market. So I had to do a lot of things myself. And at the same time, I was like, you know what? I'm going to leverage the people around me. So my school, Carleton University, had an alumni network association. I'm sure a lot of schools have this, universities and colleges. It might just not be very obvious because it's something that a lot of people that graduated from Carleton didn't know of. So try to like find out information. You have to be resourceful. Try to find out information. But I did that, and through that program I was able to find Canadian mentors who have been in the work system, who were able to guide me, review my resume, give me feedback, connected me to other people. So that was like really helpful. I feel like I wouldn't have been able to navigate the job market or even just working in Canada without the guidance of those people.
Perfect.
Yeah, one major mentor, if he ever watches it, shout out to Matt.
Shout out to Matt. We like mentors. Shout out Matt. Perfect, because then you did actually answer my follow-up question is what role did networking play in this whole thing? It's good to know that, you know, you had mentors, you were able to get into that, and here you are, right? And you made your way to, that's how you got through all, because you had several jobs.
I've had several
the last
jobs.
One being at Shopify.
Yeah,
that's what I meant. Shopify.
People mix it up.
And all of that sort of came through networking.
Yes.
Perfect. And for the viewers who may be feeling that sense of burnout or feeling that sense of unfulfillment, right? Just to put into context that you didn't just up and leave, like you had a financial runway.
Yes.
Right? So that's important information to understand. But what advice do you think you'd give to anybody who's feeling that burnout, feeling that unfulfillment, who is thinking of, you know, like, I need to make a change, but is kind of scared?
Yeah. I'd say the first, personally, right now it just seems like, oh, I am in a lucky situation, but people don't realize that a lot of like hard work went into it.
Yeah.
If you knew me from like university days, I was at the library Saturdays, Sundays. I didn't have like a
you studied
life.
airsppace engineering.
I studied aerospace.
You have to be smart.
So I feel like that also even contributed to the burnout because I had been grinding since university days. So it's like trying to find out information, trying to lock in on your finances. That's something you need to take control of and don't allow it to take control of you. So learn. If you don't have that knowledge, try to learn from people who already have that knowledge. There are a lot of like YouTube resources, podcasts, communities out there, and learn that. I would say just focus on that knowledge base first, and then you can create a plan to get to this. Another thing I'll say is like just figure out your why. Sometimes it's like we see someone taking a gap year and we feel like we wish we could, but it might just not be what is meant for us. What might be meant for you might be pivoting to a new industry or figuring out what your purpose is, or even volunteering. It's like you have your 9 to 5, but you just need something on the side that gives you fulfillment or joy. And you might be in a situation where you just can't take that risk of like leaving a job. So just finding something else on the side that might give you fulfillment. That's something I'd say.
Cool. And on the top, now that we're on the topic of money, let's continue that, right? So you, as a property owner, right? Because a lot of times immigrants And I think that even our parents back home, depending on where we're from, the status or symbol of success is you have a house, you have a car, you have it, right? And that's what a lot of people chase when they get here. Yeah. And I've spoken to a lot of people who did get a house but got it too soon, and then kind of regretted it, and then went back into renting, which there's no shame in either buying or renting, just so you know.
Yes.
But you've taken a different approach, which I quite like. So tell us all about it. Well, so you, instead of buying a house to live in, you bought an investment property and decided to go that route, which is very uncommon for a lot of immigrants and even young professionals. Yeah. So tell me about the mindset behind that decision.
I'll say, firstly, as immigrants, I knew there's like this checklist of things to do. Ensure the math makes sense for you. Just because everyone is buying a house doesn't mean you might need to buy a house. You might be better off investing in the stock markets or something different. So ensure the map makes sense for you. You shouldn't care about like external success. Just ensure like it makes sense for you.
Yeah.
For me, that was something I thought of. Obviously, it seemed like, next thing is buy a house to live in. But I realized that I think I'd rather buy an investment property and have my money grow, make my money work for me. Because through that, I have 4 different ways that my investment property creates income for me. Right. So that's why I wanted to prioritize, not really like buying a home to live in. I'll say another thing is, if I needed to buy a home to live in, it would have taken me longer to get into the markets, because I would have wanted like something fancy, something that suits my style, and I'd have probably had to buy something in the GTA because I live in the GTA, which is almost unaffordable.
Yeah, ridiculous.
The barrier to entry is really high. So I was like, okay, let me think of creative ways. There are other ways. I don't have to go through one route. This is something I'll always also say. Just because an immigrant shared this, even me sharing this today, doesn't mean that the next step for you is to like buy an investment property. So it's like, just know that there are different routes that you can go through and learn about them, and if it makes sense for you, because I wanted to invest my money, I wanted to ensure that my money was working for me, and then an investment property just was the next step for me, instead of like a house to actually live in.
Exactly. And I'm pro that decision, let me tell you, because like you said, like the GTA, the market is so ridiculous. I can own 3 properties in another country compared to one in Canada just to live in it. You know,
the barrier to entry is really high. So I just went to somewhere that had a low barrier to entry. And I did the math. I just didn't want to get to a situation where I became house poor. Like you mentioned, people rush into home ownership because people tell them,
I made natural progression.
Or like I made X amount of dollars, $1,000 from my home, but they made that when the house market was booming in 2020. A lot of people were making thousands of dollars, but this is different from 2020. So ensure you do your math, your research, and figure out your why before you do it.
Perfect. And how did you, if you could briefly, how did you prepare and work towards affording your investment property, and what sacrifices did you have to make?
Okay, I'll say firstly, I wasn't necessarily like working towards an investment property first. I just knew that I'm in Canada, the financial system is very different. For example, even with credits, there's almost no credit system in Nigeria. It's not something that's
or Jamaica.
So like just understanding how to build my credits. That was like my first layer. Then budgeting, saving, and then being introduced to the stock markets. I feel like those are like the first few steps you should take before buying a home. Even if it's a home to live in or an investment property, ensure you've taken those few steps first before making that big decision. That's almost hard to reverse, I would say. Harder to reverse than the stock market. So I did all of that. I was saving. I used to do I had side hustles in university. I used to braid people's hair. So that gave me a lot of money. And I just had that money lying around. I was like, you know what should I do with this money? I went to a bank in Canada, one of the big 5 banks, and I was like, I've heard of something called TFSA. I want to open it. And they're like, you can't open it because you're an international student, which is not accurate. So it's so crazy how when you talk to people that just don't have the context of being an immigrant, sometimes you get wrong
Wrong
information. That's why when it comes to networking, I know I'm digressing,
No,
but when
fine.
it comes to networking, people only focus on like vertical networking, but like the horizontal networking is needed as well. You need to still network and build community with other immigrants.
Yes.
Than just like other like people
Who can
upwards.
help you to get to the next
Yes.
level. Yeah.
So I learned that, and then luckily I think I found someone that shared that she was an international student, she had a CFSA. So I opened that, I started investing in the stock market. Then it got to a point where I was like, you know what? I was hearing about diversifying your investments.
Yeah.
And I was like, maybe I should look into diversifying into the housing markets.
Yeah.
I did my research. I read books like Rich Dad Poor Dad. He's like big on using real estate as a form of building wealth. So that was just it for me. But I'll say basically is like investing in the stock markets or learning to save your money first and then investing in stock markets.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And now, I mean, of course, I remember watching your video when you bought the property, and you're like, it doesn't feel real yet until the big chunk of money is gone from my account.
Yes.
So, how, like, what did you, when you decided to make this move or buy this property? Did you have to make any sacrifices before, after, during, throughout? Like, how did it go? Because you saying like it's not real until the money's gone. Like, oh gosh, now the money's like out of my account.
Yeah.
Like a big chunk of money.
Yeah.
How was like that for you in terms of like what sacrifices did you have to make throughout the process?
I'll say a lot of the sacrifice I made was prior.
Yeah.
So all the years building up onto it.
Yeah.
I was at an event a couple of weeks ago, speaking engagement about the property woman, and I was like, I didn't just like wake up and decide to buy a property within a year. I know it sounds cool, at 25, but I think I had been doing little things that built up from age 18. So I made a lot of sacrifices that time. I was ensuring that I saved a lot of my income, whatever was coming in, my side hustle, all of that money, I just saved it. I reduced my outing. If I didn't need anything, like I stopped shopping a lot. My spending habits changed. So I did all of those sacrifices initially,
Leading
like
up.
from the beginning.
Yes. Okay, cool.
Now I've changed a bit, but I feel like now that I've hit the goal, I'm like giving myself room to enjoy life.
Yes.
Yeah.
Live a little.
Yes.
After all, this is your,
It's your money.
year
Yeah.
to figure it out, right?
Yeah.
Speaking about investing and learning that and all that stuff, you so you talk about investing in the stock market,
Yes.
right? I won't mention the companies or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
they aren't
yeah,
paying
okay.
us.
Yes.
But talk about investing a little bit and how you learned to because I feel like it's something that we lack coming from developing countries,
Yeah.
that financial literacy.
Yes.
To understand the stock market and trading in the stock market. Like, nobody spoke to me about investing until 2020.
I think that was like the real awakening for everyone.
Yeah.
So I think,
But even the TFSA, okay, it was after I became a PR. Then they said, oh, you can open this TFSA. But it was just sitting down in there, 0.075% interest, whatever the hell,
Yeah.
right? So then I got introduced to investing in the stock market and all that stuff. But how was your introduction into the stock market like? And what advice, this is not financial advice, disclaimer, it's just experience-based information that we're sharing.
Yes.
What is your input to the audience about investing in the stock market and trading and stuff like that?
Okay. For my intro, as I mentioned, after I heard that I couldn't put in CFSA, I contacted my parents. I'm like, I just need my money to grow and I just don't need the regular savings accounts. So there was a mutual funds in Nigeria. I put my money in mutual funds just because it seemed like I couldn't put it in Canada.
Yeah.
So that was, I know people are not huge fans of mutual funds just because it is a safe investment.
Yeah.
But for me, that was like a learning opportunity, being able to be comfortable putting my money elsewhere and not having easy access to it. So that was something that helped me become more confident to be able to put my money in stock markets. I think after that, I realized that it just didn't make sense to put my money in Naira
Yeah.
just because of the currency exchange. So I was becoming a bit poorer by the day, even if the money was growing. And I was like, yeah, I need to pull it out. I need to do my research in Canada.
Yeah.
And I came across someone who also was an international student, graduated, started working, and she told me how she had put her money in TFSA. I asked her a few questions. Also, my mentor,
Yeah.
that was my career mentor, we had developed a relationship. So I asked him about like finances. What should I put my money in? can you teach me about like the financial system in Canada now that I'm earning money? So that also helped. And just doing research myself.
Yeah.
I'll say nowadays things are a bit easier because there's ChatGPT. Information there is not 100% accurate, but it can explain things to you. I know sometimes people feel shy to say in public that they don't understand how the stock market works. Because it seems like, oh, you're an adult, you should understand it. But at the end of the day, a lot of us weren't taught about financial literacy growing up. So you have to do it yourself now. There are a lot of things when it comes to investment that I'm teaching my parents and telling them about. So it's like, give yourself grace. Use ChatGPT. Tell it to explain how the stock market works to you. If you need to, like, sign up for newsletters, sign up for courses if you need to. But honestly, there are a lot of like free resources out there on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. Things are accessible. I'll also recommend the McGill. There's a McGill finance course that's free. I did it in 2020. So it talks about, I know you spoke about credits, spoke about debts. I feel like that's just a good financial literacy 101. And you need that solid base first before you go into investing. So don't just jump into investing. Ensure you learn credits. Ensure that you understand what your interest rates are if you have debts before you go into investing, because sometimes it makes more sense to pay off your debts than putting money into the stock market. So do all of that, get comfortable first. And then find a low barrier to entry. It could be maybe putting just $20 in the first time, understanding your risk appetite. Because if you put $20 in and the market turns red and you see that it's now $5, are you going to freak out? Before you put like $500 in, put that small amount first. This is why I even tell people that before you invest in real estate, put more money in the stock markets, because that's like little money you're putting compared to like putting like 90K or 100K in a house.
And some trading platforms have paper trading. So then you're trading with fake money, so to speak, but in the real market, right? So of course it's not real money. Even if you get if it grows, you don't get any money from it, but then it gives you an idea of, you know, okay, I'm gonna buy. I remember I started a paper trading account and I bought Apple. I bought Apple and it went up. I'm like, and then I'll wait a second. It's not my money.
If only it was your money at that point.
But then, like you said, it's a nice, you know, removes the barrier to entry. Just feel it out. I don't recommend, of course, you know, jumping into it without some guidance or some advice. And then if say for instance, trading or going into the stock market isn't necessarily for you, because you still have to be able to pay attention to your investments, then there are other ways to invest in the stock market indirectly through segregated funds, through mutual funds, all of that wonderful stuff. That is content that I'm now bringing to my channel because I realize that it's not enough. I don't realize that, I know that, but I realize that a lot of people aren't realizing that it's not enough to just come to Canada. It's not enough to just get PR or just become a citizen, right? Because a lot of, let's face it, a lot of the reason why we came here is because of money. Right? It's because of the income earning potential, right? It's greener grass, so to speak. It's not, but so to speak, right? And so when you get here, 70% of Canadians are $200 away from being broke, right? So it's important then now to get the financial literacy, talk about the money stuff, talk about TFSAs and trading and all that stuff, which is all things that I've been doing for the last 5 years. So now I'm ready to bring that education and information and experience to the platform. So coming soon. No, I love that, especially like what you mentioned about if the simulation apps aren't for you, or like even putting your money straight into like a TFSA isn't for you, or stock markets, there are other ways you can invest. Just try to avoid analysis paralysis. As I mentioned, I had put my money first in mutual funds. If you tell that to people today, they'll be like, oh, mutual funds are bad for you, you should put it in stock market. But no, that was what was accessible to me at that point. So just make the first step to ensure that your money is growing for you, and then you can move up the level with that. I also share content to just help people, because I find that I'm glad you're doing it, because I find that people come to Canada and don't realize how to thrive in Canada. And a lot of us weren't taught, or like we didn't grow up being financially literate, and we just don't understand the Canadian system. So we need to actually do that learning.
and there are platforms out there
Yes.
like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dream
And
boldly.
I'll
Plan.
share more
Exactly.
content about that, because I asked a lot of like my followers on Instagram or YouTube, and the main pressing topic is always like financial content.
Yes.
Sometimes I try to like stay away because it's like it's not financial advice.
Yeah.
But now it's like I'm just sharing my experience.
As told by experience.
Yeah, my
Okay.
experience. Yeah.
You can borrow my as told by experience.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to that on the
Yes.
channel. Yeah.
Absolutely. And maybe we can do stuff
Yeah,
together.
yeah.
Right. So yeah, it's okay to question the grind. It's okay to choose rest. It's okay to give yourself permission to feel like your cup isn't really being filled, even though you are living a dream that a lot of people wish they had. You know, some people who had to leave for PR and all that stuff. Your journey is your own, right? And it's okay to question it. You're not failing if you're an immigrant and you don't own a house yet, or you have to pause to realign yourself with your purpose. So we're going to jump into what I wish I knew before I moved to Canada. But first, we're going to take a quick break. So after the break, we're going to tackle that question. Tobi's going to answer it, and we're going to hear from 3 other people what they wish they knew before moving to Canada right after the break. So every week for the last 5 weeks, this is week 5, I've been asking my guests and my audience, what's one thing you wish you knew before coming to Canada? And it's not from the perspective of regret or anything like, oh, I wish I knew this. It's more so to pay forward to the future generation of Canadian immigrants, to learn from the things that we learned from, or things that we wish we knew before coming, so we can save you probably some emotional struggle, some money, or even some time, right? So I'm going to ask you, Tobi, to be the first to say, what do you wish you knew before coming to Canada, if you had to say one thing?
I'll say that the first step is common, and then you have to figure out how to thrive in Canada. I think a lot of us just feel, oh, once we come to Canada, we achieve the Canadian dream. Things are already set up for us to achieve it. But you have to do a lot of work to actually achieve it, and be okay. It's fine to ask for help. I find that a lot of immigrants struggle through things, and they're scared to ask for help. And yeah, it's fine to ask for help. People are willing to help you. People have been through what you're going through. It might not be the exact same situation, but something similar. And people are just always going to be there to help you out. Yeah.
As told by experience. Okay. And Tobi is also on YouTube. We're going to share her YouTube channel shortly. But we're going to share from 3 people who shared on social media what they wish they knew before coming to Canada. So, I mean, when I ask, I mean, people are emailing me, they're DMing, they are commenting on the post, and they're commenting on the post on LinkedIn. That's where we're getting a lot of action, right? So if you're on LinkedIn, find the post. I'll link it to the description below, to tell me also what you wish you knew, so that you can pay it forward to the future generation. So let us hear what Kimberly had to say. Kimberly said, I wish I knew how difficult it was to break into the job market. Even though I came to Canada as a student and completed a program that included a co-op work placement, employers still insisted that I didn't quite meet the mark due to the lack of the proverbial Canadian qualifications and Canadian experience. My degree had an extensive, she had a degree, extensive experience, but she believes it was disregarded because she was from another country, a developing country with a majority Black population. That's what Kimberly believes. And I mean, you did talk about how entry into the job market was difficult. And even when it wasn't difficult and you did get the job, immigration created somewhat of a barrier, right?
Yeah.
So there's all kind of things that people have to think about when trying to enter the job market.
Yes.
Let's hear from Howard. Howard over there in Nova Scotia said, I wish I knew how cold it could get and the subtle differences between winter wear and fall wear. If you are from a warm climate, a hoodie or a sweater would normally be sufficient to protect you from occasional chills. But Canadian winters are not like any other. It's especially hard on small children who can't regulate their body temperatures. Shopping for winter gear especially was hard. I learned the hard way. I also learned how to walk on icy sidewalks, which is a skill here in Canada. Okay? You got to be careful of that black ice. Got to be careful, right? You have to...
You learn to work.
And then Cheryl, my amazing professor from my PMP course that I did, Cheryl said, be prepared to step back a little before moving forward. Career advancement may not be an immediate, and you might need to start a more junior role than you are accustomed to. This transition may be challenging, but it's important to stay patient, persistent, and build a network. Embrace the opportunity to learn, grow, and explore this vast country. With time, dedication, and resilience, you will find your path to success.
I love it.
Amazing. And you see, she mentioned that N-word, networking. Guys, I think you've heard it across every single episode. And I didn't go to Cheryl saying, hey, can you put like networking in your thing? No, right? Like, this is real. Last week's episode was on networking, and I don't think many people have watched it because I think we underestimate it. And I think that even as immigrants, I mean, for me, I was trying to make sure that I went home with all my money. If I had to leave Canada, I was going home with every dollar. So I didn't do a lot. I didn't go out a lot, right? But I also, in doing so, I missed out on networking opportunities, which could have been an opportunity to meet somebody. You never know who you're going to meet. And you never know the kind of support you need, even if it's not professional, personal support, right? To go out and do some stuff, right? So please don't disregard networking. And I want you to tell me in the comment section, what's one thing you wish you knew before coming to Canada? Can you drop a comment in the comment section? Can you comment on the post on LinkedIn or send me a DM? Whatever the case, wherever you find me, I want you to tell me what's one thing you wish you knew before coming to Canada. Tobi, it was amazing chatting to you. There's lots more to talk about.
Yeah, I know.
We can make a series out of it, I swear. But where can people find you on social media?
Okay, thanks for having me. Absolutely. So you can find me on YouTube, Tobi Derin, so TOBIDERIN. On Instagram, Tobi.Derin. And on TikTok as well, Tobi Derin.
Perfect. Yeah. And you know, you can follow along her story of being a property owner and leaving the job. Like we're still like we're in Q2 of the year, all of that stuff.
Time is flying.
Right.
The pressure is on.
No pressure, no pressure, literally no pressure, right? So thank you so much for being with me. I do have a gift for you during this off time, right? May is Mental Health Awareness Month, right? And I believe fully that we don't do enough for ourselves going through this immigration journey as young professionals, trying to make it, whatever. And this here is an adult coloring book and journal. This is my third book. And what it does is, like, say, for instance, on days when you are feeling a little bit scared, because this is a scary undertaking, right? Even if we're in the job market, like we're working, we're like, oh, I'm scared if I stay here. What's going to happen, right? It's like there's no winning, right? But on days when you might feel scared, or even on days when you feel good, you can find there's a feeling wheel and an animal wisdom wheel. So you'll find, like, I'm feeling frightened today, and instead I want to feel motivated. So therefore, you're going to channel the energy from the horse, right? And then you go color a horse and listen to horse affirmations to help you to channel a more empowered state of being. So take care of your mind during this process. Color, journal, listen to affirmations, all that wonderful stuff.
No, thank you so much, Christina. And it's so funny because the day I left my job, I quit my job, I actually ordered coloring books, pencils, and crayons.
Well, you have crayons
so
already.
So now I have, like, because those ones are like 20 pages. So this is a lot.
You have over 100 coloring pages in this book.
So thank you so much. This is like so thoughtful. I appreciate it a lot.
Absolutely. Dare greatly. Okay. Dare greatly. You will not regret this year. I promise you. And we'll keep in touch. Absolutely. Any one last sentence for our guests or audience who have been watching this, any words of advice, sentence of advice to leave with the audience?
I have to say it. You've been saying it a lot. Networking. Network. Communicate with people. You need community as an immigrant. You're not alone. People have gone through whatever you're going through in a different way. But they're here to, like, guide you. And then know what it takes to thrive in Canada. It's not just come in. So even if you're, like, still in school, a student, try to learn about finances. There are three things I say. There's knowledge, time, and money. You might not have the money, but you have the time now as a student. As a student, I went for so many networking events. And those created opportunities for me. Knowledge, try to learn about the finances, try to learn about the job market system, try to take courses, keep on learning. Even if I'm not working right now, I'm learning. I'm forever learning. And then when you have the money, you have those two locked in. So it propels you.
Yes. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Dream boldly, plan wisely,
Yeah.
thrive in Canada.
Love
It's
it.
kind of my tagline. Okay.
Love it.
So this episode was all about breaking the mold and being okay with it, right? Coming to Canada isn't just about surviving. It isn't about a passport or a status in Canada. It's about being able to thrive in your environment and living not for our parents or society, but for ourselves,
Yeah.
right? And for our families if we have a little ones and all
Yeah.
that wonderful stuff. Next week is episode 6, which is our last episode of this limited series. But of course, we're going to be continuing on As Told by Canadian Immigrants on YouTube. But next week, we are going to continue the conversation. We're going to be talking to a faculty member about what it is like from the perspective of faculty to support international students and help them to achieve success here in Canada and on campus here at Durham College, right? So that's all the time we have today in today's episode. You've been an amazing guest. Thank you so much for being here and watching. See you next week, same time, same place. Please don't forget to follow the Media Hub here on social media at DCSA Media Hub. And you can follow us at As Told by Canadian Immigrants, YouTube, Instagram, websites, all of them. All the social media them As Told by Canadian Immigrants, right? Like, share, and subscribe. Thank you again for joining us today. This was Our Immigration Stories As Told by Canadian Immigrants, live from the Media Hub on rightradio.ca.